Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know, we have Ring of Honor and TNA. Now, in Ring of Honor, we're going to see some interesting matches. Amongst them, we're going to see some pure wrestling rules matches from both the men and the women. And then, of course, the main event features the ROH World Six-Man Tag Team belts. So, Shane Taylor Promotions, the Infantry, Carly Bravo and Sean Dean, along with uh, Shane Taylor, will defend their championships against, of course, the combined forces of the Kingdom, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, along with AR Fox. But the real question is, can they dethrone them? Or once again, Shane Taylor Promotions will show exactly who is the dominant force now in Ring of Honor. So we'll see what happened. And of course, we have TNA featuring a lot of things taking place, of course. As you know, the war between the Order of Four and the System continues to rage on. The Elegant Brands continues to show that they are in full control of the Knockouts division. And Mike Santana, as you know, is well aware of what's happening, of course, in NXT, with Trick Williams putting his championship on the line in a winner takes all. But the main event, of course, features the TNA World Tag Team belts. The Bennett brothers, both Nick and Ryan, cash in their rematch clause against the Hardys. So we'll see what happens until then. And then, of course, we cap up our episode, as always, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world, pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information has been unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on a like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So, let's begin with Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor. We opened up with Mystico taking on Mansoor. Now, of course, this is a very high delicate match. As you all know, Mansoor, as a member of the MXM collection, along with Teo Valkyrie and Johnny TV. Of course, he's going to have his hands full with everybody on the outside. Of course, he has Alex Brahamontes as his hype man into this whole thing. But of course, he's no idiot. Of course, that they're going to use that little disgusting little perfume on them, but it failed miserably until, of course, Mystico took out both Mason Madden and Johnny TV. Until, of course, Mystico applied La Mystica, and Mansoor had no choice but to tap out. And just like that, it was completely over. However, what I failed to mention, during the match, of course, John Cruz, who's been, I don't know exactly what he is to MJF. He's been taking notes. But of course, Mystico was not an idiot. He knows what he was watching. He saw what he was doing. Of course, later on, John Cruz mentioned, of course, the upcoming match, which is the career, his mask versus title, because of course, MJF is confident enough to believe that he will take away his mask. But we will see what happens until then. Now, our next match is a Pure Wrestling's rules match. We have Olympia taking on Viva Van. Now, I'm not sure if Viva Van has any experience in this type of style of wrestling, which is just pure rules or so. But Olympia, I feel like she has done everything possible to try what it is. And I have to say, she was very impressive. I heard of her name. I cannot recall if I ever seen her wrestle, but she was impressive. And she applied a swing slam, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Our next match, we have Alan Angels, who many of you remember him as member of the Dark Order, known as God damn it 5. Yeah, he's the one who screws up. But he faces against Beast Mortals. Now, of course, Beast Mortals, you know for a fact he's an animal, that he'll try to run him over, that sort of thing. And that's exactly what he did throughout the entire match. He actually put him down with a slam. It looked more like a Samoan drop, I'm not sure, but it looked like it. But it worked in his favor, and 1, 2, 3, Beast Mortals walked away with the win. Now, we do have another Pure Wrestling rules match, and we have Matt Mako, who is a resident of Philadelphia. Many of you may have seen him in Action Wrestling. He faces against the wrestler Katsuyori Shibata. Of course, everybody, whoever knows about Shibata, you know that he was going to pick up the win. But Matt Mako, I have to say, he was very impressive as always. I mean, I feel AEW should just sign the guy. He's impressive. Even if you put him in Ring of Honor, he could be a great showcase when it comes to the pure wrestling style in ROH. And I think he would be the perfect opportunity to do so. But it was an impressive match until Shibata applied the PK, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next match, we have, of course, the members of the Death Riders, Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir, taking on Aaliyah James and Man Like Therese. Now, of course, it's no secret, as you know, the Death Riders are now trying to take control of both AEW and Ring of Honor into their own image. And that's exactly what they've been trying to do. But in the end, it was Marina Shafir who walked away with the win when she applied the mother's milk onto Aaliyah James, and it was completely over from there. Now, our next match, we have Satnam Singh taking on CPA. Well, I don't need to tell you how this ended, but I can tell you that this ended with a chokeslam, just like that. I mean, Satnam Singh's a big dude. I mean, you have no chance, even if you try to put him down if you can. But that's exactly what happened. Now, of course, QTTV, as you know, they've been talking about Paul Walter Hauser. As you know, QT Marshall defeated him and talked some things about him. But of course, there was one topic that, of course, many people know. QT Marshall is not a big fan of Big Boom AJ and his son, Big Justice. But of course, there was an obvious question that they are asking. Do they condone what Don Callis did to Big Justice? When, if you guys saw the video, that snake, Don Callis, or should I say Don Moron, decided to choke out Big Justice. Now, QT Marshall has no love for Big Boom and, of course, Big Justice, but he does not condone, of course, what QT Marshall, for Don Callis' actions. So basically, he said, look, I don't like what he did, but I don't respect AJ and his son. So that kind of sets it up right there. Now, our next match is another Pure Wrestling rules match, and this time a very interesting one. We have Yuka Sakazaki versus Janai Kai. Now, I cannot recall if Yuka Sakazaki has ever done this type of match, but it's great to see her, not less. I know that we haven't seen her that much, not to mention I'm sure she's been busy. For those who already know, she is married to Konosuke Takeshita, which was kind of surprising, but it's great to hear that she's doing great for herself. But seeing her back, I wasn't too sure if she understood the idea of what the Pure Wrestling rules were all about. But she was able to pick up the win with the merry-go-round type of maneuver, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our main event is the ROH World Six-Man Tag Team Belts. Shane Taylor Promotions, Carly Bravo and Sean Dean, also known as the Infantry, team with the leader of Shane Taylor Promotions, Shane Taylor, to take on the combined forces of the Kingdom, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, along with, of course, AR Fox. So, of course, as you know, AR Fox a week ago was facing up against Shane Taylor, but he lost. And now, but of course, the Kingdom are trying to, unite themselves in some ways to show we have each other's backs. But the obvious question, did they really had everything under control? No. It seems like Shane Taylor Promotions were able to show their dominance once and for all, taking control of everything. And they were able to pick up the win when, of course, Shane Taylor once again took him out with a fist to the face and then a stomp onto AR Fox. But it was Carly Bravo that picked up the win by pinning him. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. So that's pretty much what happened in ROH. But we'll see what happens more next week. But as of right now, we're officially done with ROH. Let's move on with TNA. Alright, last review, TNA. We opened up, of course, as you all know, the war is raging on between two factions, the Order of Four and the System. Now, to give you guys a brief, what is this war happening is this. Of course, the Order of Four feels now, because as you know, the how do I say, the saying of the System called trust the system. So Mustafa Ali has been telling nobody trusts in the system anymore because it's all about trust in Ali, and that was the whole point. They're trying to prove that they are the dominant force now that, of course, the system are no longer that force anymore. So that's exactly what they've been going for. But this particular match features Brian Myers of the system taking on the leader of the Order of Four, Mustafa Ali. Now, when it comes to these type of matches, you all know perfectly well that the Order 4 will do whatever it takes to win by cheating their ways through, by causing distractions and all this. And that's exactly what happened, because that moron, a member of the Dumb Hands, John Skyler, gets involved, got distracted, allowing, of course, Mustafa Ali to pin him, and just like that, it was over. And then all hell broke loose, of course, between both sides. Of course, we did see Tasha Steele's low blow Eddie Edwards until she got her ass handed to her by, of course, Eddie Edwards' wife, Alicia. And then, of course, John Skyler decided to put his hands on her. And, of course, he got bitch slapped by, of course, Alicia. And then a pump kick to the face by Moose. But the biggest shocker is what we were expecting. Moose confronting that big dumb brute, Agent Zero, or should I say Agent Idiot. Well, what's surprising, Agent Idiot decided to headbutt it really hard, and all hell was breaking loose. Security showed up, and then, of course, the Director of Authority shows up saying that he had enough of this whole situation, so he did stated that in Bound for Glory, there's going to be a match between both the Order 4 and the system, what he calls hardcore war. Now, of course, you know that Mustafa Ali cannot afford to lose, and that's exactly what he wants to do. He wants to ensure that the Order 4 are the dominant force now. So we'll see what happens. Now, Gia Miller had an interview, of course, with the Menace brothers, because, as you all know, I mentioned, they had cashed in the rematch clause for the TNA World Tag Team belts, and that's exactly what was all about. And they're confident enough to believe they will walk out once again as TNA World Tag Team Champions, and that's something we will see when we get there. Now, in the back, we did see Danny Luna preparing for her match against Indy Hartwell, but however, we saw that little chihuahua, Ash by Elegant's little grease monkey, shows up talking to her, saying that that a lot of opportunities have been taken from her. Now, we know exactly what that little chihuahua is trying to do. As you probably know, the last thing they want is Indy Hartwell to win the TNA Knockouts World Title Bound for Glory. So he decided to get into her head to ensure to dismantle her. That's exactly what he tried to do. Someone needs to knock that idiot out, his lights out, sooner or later. But we'll just have to wait and see. Now, of course, TNA has been fully aware. If you guys saw what happened, my latest news updates, where I talk about certain TNA wrestlers are displeased about what's been going on with TNA, about the upcoming winner takes all match between Trick Williams and Obafemi. The winner, as you all know, Trick Williams is the TNA World Champion, and Obafemi the NXT Champion. So, of course, TNA, we're going to talk about this because they cannot fully ignore what really was going on. So, that's exactly what happened. Now, our next match, we have Judas Icarus, one half of course, of the tag team duo with Trick Williams, takes on Eric Young. Now, of course, you saw what happened. Eric Young was displeased with the fact that Judas Icarus and Travis Williams had failed, of course, to help him cleanse TNA into what it should be. And of course, you would have assumed that Eric Young would have walked away with the win until no one said his name, but he just showed up, and that is, of course, say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Yep, he showed up and took matters in his own hands. And of course, this allowed for Judas Icarus to put a jackknife onto him, and just like that, uno, dos, tres, over, and just like that, Judas Icarus got a win over him. Now, once again, we get to the treehouse. Of course, the Rascals are trying to, well, they first were a little pissed what happened last week in that four-way match for the number one contenders for the X Division title. But they changed their tune a little bit until, you know what I mean. Yep. They did that, and they were just talking about the match itself. Like, dude, I did this, dude, I did that. You know, I'm like, and guess who showed up? Well, I didn't expect him to do it. And that is, of course, Santino Marella. He's like, yeah. He wasn't actually doing a joke, but the smoke was getting all of it. I thought it was just a fun segment. I mean, I missed the treehouse. It was a lot of fun. Now, our next match, we have the combined forces of the Inspiration and Masha Slamovich to take on all members of the Elegance brand, as you know. As we may all know, in Victory Road, Masha gets another opportunity for TNA Knockouts World title at Victory Road, while the Inspiration once again will take on, of course, the other members of the Elegance brands for the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team belts. And of course, you all know how this was going to go, but there was a moment where, of course, the Elegance brand were trying to walk away, but that wasn't going to happen. But that dumb Chihuahua decided to get involved, kind of hit Masha's eyes like, oh, you effed up, boy. And just like that, he tried to run. But the one thing the Elegance brand hadn't forgotten is how they were humiliated by them during their little champagne party not too long ago. And then they, of course, Ash tossed champagne in the eyes of, I think it was Jessie McKay, and M actually pinned her. So this is one thing that, of course, is disgusting. But sooner or later, the Elegance brand might have to lose everything. We just don't know when or where that's going to happen. Now, we did see Frankie Kazarian, of course, try to host his own show, putting himself as the guest, but he was interrupted by someone you may remember, Mr. Anderson, or many of you who know him in WWE as Mr. Kennedy. Yep, he showed up, got into his face until he was attacked by Jake Something. And of course, Jake Something and Frank Kazarian tried to take him out until Steve Maclin decided to show up and try to take matters in his own hands. So that's how things end. Now, our next match, we have Danny Luna taking on Indy Hartwell. Now, the match was going great until once again, Danny Luna snapped and used a chair on Indy Hartwell, disqualifying herself. So she has become out of her freaking mind. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have this guy named AJZ taking on Mike Santana. Well, this match, you can tell, it ended with Mike Santana with the spin the block, and just like that, it was over. 1, 2, 3. However, during the post-match, Mike Santana put out a promo calling out Trick Williams, telling him that no matter what happens, he will still be coming for the TNA World title. But out of nowhere, he was attacked from behind by Ridge Holland. We did not anticipate that. We don't know what this means. The obvious question we ask ourselves, did Trick Williams send him to take him out? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, before our main event, we did see Matt Cardona making his way to the commentary booth in his wrestling gear because we had the TNA World Tag Team Championships on the line. The Bennett brothers versus the Hardys. So, of course, things were going great for the moment, and of course, desperation has been coming from both sides, but mostly from the Bennett brothers, who are determined to regain what they lost. But, of course, things took a drastic turn until Ryan Bennett, intending to use the championship belts onto the Hardys, was stopped by none other than Matt Cardona, but Nick Bennett took him out until, of course, the Hardys took out Ryan Bennett with, of course, the Twist of Fate, then the Swanton, and then 1, 2, 3, the Hardys retained the championships. Now, I'm sure we're going to see some hell to pay between both the Bennett brothers and Matt Cardona, because I'm sure they're going to take the frustrations out on him. So we'll see what happens next week, but we'll stay close to the situation between both TNA, of course, with TNA and NXT coming up for this Tuesday for the winner takes all match. So stay tuned for that. So as of right now, we are done with everything, with all our reviews. Let's move on with our last and final thing, and that is, of course, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Now, to make it clear, we do not have any developments part of this thing of our episode in our news update section. So let's just focus, of course, on upcoming events. Now, as you know, Prestige Wrestling will be having their last final shows until November. As you know, one of the upcoming shows in that time frame in October is, of course, Roseland 12. And they just announced Cody Chun will take on Travis Williams. So that's going to be one heck of a match. Now, West Coast Pro has announced 2 matches for their upcoming event, How the West was won on the 1st of November. The first match is AJ Gray versus Mad Dog Connolly. And then we have Willow Nightingale versus Maya World. And then, of course, we have Japanese promotion known as 01. Now, for many of you who may have been hearing this recently, I reported not too long ago where 01 are now allowing Yoshi wrestlers to appear. We have seen wrestlers making appearances, and recently they just announced a very interesting name who will be participating, I believe, on November 10th in Corkin Hall, and many of you know her, former AEW Women's World Champion Hikaru Shida. Yeah, so she's going to be participating with 01 in November, so that's going to be fun. Japanese promotion GLEAT has announced for their upcoming event, also in November, called Version Mega in Yokohama. They announced TJP, or also known as the Aswang, will be participating on that day. Now, finally, All Japan Pro Wrestling has announced for the upcoming tag league known as World's Strongest Tag League, and this is part of 2025, and they haven't announced who will be participating, but I do know I have the list of events. It will be going from November to December. Let me pull it up for all of you on this one. Here it is. Yes, it begins on November 22nd in Corkin Hall. It goes on, of course, to the 23rd, the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th of November. And then there is the 6th, the 7th, and the 10th in December. But however, as I mentioned before, on November 22nd, it starts in Corkin Hall, but it ends also in Corkin Hall on December 10th. So I'll stay close to this, see what happens. I don't know who will be participating, but once I do know, I'll let you guys know if you guys are big fans of All Japan Pro Wrestling. So as of right now, we are officially done with everything, so let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do, but I'm considering at this moment. I'm a bit behind with Pro Wrestling Noah, but I decided, since they already finished Mighty Gold with their latest event, of course, tournament, the Dreamstar Grand Prix, I'm thinking about just doing all of that if it's possible. But we'll see what happens. I'm gonna try to do as much as possible before the day is out, and let's hope for the best. But as of right now, that's the idea of what I'm gonna do. I really want to get rid of this and move on to the next, to catch up with the next Yoshi Reds. But I am modifying which events I want to focus more on Tokyo Pro Wrestling, which I missed out on a few, and same thing with others. But we'll see. But as of right now, we'll leave things as it is. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.